Hi, and welcome to this active prenatal yoga class. This class is for all trimesters. So I'm in my third trimester now. Could be good for first or especially for second trimester when you feel like you have some energy and you want to move and breathe a little bit. As with every single yoga class, if you feel any dizziness, shortness of breath, nausea, discomfort, pain, anything that doesn't feel right for you, then of course just take a break. Lie down in Shavasana or on your side or take child's pose whenever you need it, no problem. We're going to need some gear for this class. I love to use my props in prenatal yoga. It just makes life a whole lot easier. So if you have some gear, it will really benefit you. We're going to need 2 blocks if possible. If you don't have blocks, you can use 2 big soup cans or 2 water bottles. A blanket. If you don't have a blanket, just grab a towel and then a bolster, which you can also use like a big couch pillow if you don't have a bolster. So take a moment, gather your things, and then I'll meet you back here on the mats. So we're going to start in a nice, easy, comfortable position. So Sukhasana is great, or any way that feels good to sit. So you can have your ankles crossed. Feet can be further away from you, depending on the volume of your belly at this point. Or you can stack your heels in a row or sit up on your heels, whatever feels comfortable. Sit up nice and tall. Roll your shoulders back. Lift up through the crown of your head so there's like a very slight tuck in your chin here. So the back of the neck stays nice and long. And start to deepen your breath. You can close your eyes. And just take a moment here to ground yourself. Welcome yourself to your mat and to your practice. And here I would like to call upon the theme of beginner's mind, which is taken from Buddhism. And it's a really lovely way to express the idea that we should just wipe the slate clean of expectations. So as we go through the practice, instead of thinking about what your body used to be able to do before you got pregnant, or used to be able to do when you weren't so big or so uncomfortable, when you could breathe easier, whatever it is, just clearing those expectations and thoughts away, and especially reminiscing about the past and what you could do. And instead, focusing on the present moment. So how do I feel now with every single breath that I take, with every single movement? And just enjoy the process. So that's our theme for today, beginner's mind. Like every single movement that you do, every single breath you take is a new one, done for the very first time. And take a moment here to connect with your baby. Hands to the belly. Give your baby a little hug, a little squeeze, say hello. And then just remember that you're doing this practice not only for your health, but for the health and for the benefit of your baby. As breath comes into the body, as movement comes in to release stress, this is all great. And then open your eyes, lift up your hips, and come into a tabletop position. So on all fours, you can move your blanket to the side if you're sitting up on a blanket. Take your wrists under your shoulders, spread your fingers out nice and wide. Knees can come underneath the hips or even a little bit wider, especially if you're later in your pregnancy, just for a bit more stability. And then we'll take a few cat-cows here. So this is the classic, not only for a general yoga class, but especially in pregnancy. They're called pelvic tilts in pregnancy yoga. And from here, really, we're not working to take a huge back bend. Unless you're in first trimester, you can just keep going as normal. Otherwise, we want to minimize the back bend and instead focus on the upper back when we arch it and spread the shoulder blades apart. So see if you can bring your movement more into the upper back and less focus on stretching the belly muscles. Inhale as you come forward and exhale to round. Take about 2 more like this. And then find a neutral spine. Bend your elbows. Swing your ribs to the right. Round your back to the right. Swing over to the left. And then bend your elbows, dip down to the left, swing over to the right. Keep going like this. So we're making big lateral circles with the rib cage. You might need to widen your knees if your belly is as big as mine, just to make some room here. And key thing is to initiate the movement with the breath. So breath comes first, followed by the movement. And let's switch directions. And really, when you arch your back, see if you can push the back of your heart up towards the sky and really spread the shoulder blades apart. And then get all of your major joints involved, your shoulders, your hips, maybe even your neck. Just creating some space in the back. Good, and then come to center. Bring your knees underneath your hips for some stability. And then stretch your right foot back behind you with your toes tucked under. Really press back into the right heel here and just kind of pulse forward and back, and you'll feel a nice lengthening sensation in the back of the right calf. All right, from here, kickstand your left foot to the left side of the mat with your toes tucked under. So the foot swivels back behind you. Roll onto the inner edge of the right foot, and then stretch your right arm up to the sky. Sorry, I'm not mirroring you here, so I'm going to look opposite from you. And then take a deep breath in, really reach up, press the mat away from you, lean back slightly to open your chest. Good, and then you can either stay like this, or if you'd like to challenge your balance a little bit, maybe float the right foot up and off the mat. Activate the right foot. If it's lifted, spread the toes out. Push forward through the ball of the foot. Lift the right kneecap. Take 2 more deep breaths. And then as you exhale, release the inner edge of the right foot. Spin your right hand back down. Come back to all fours. Good. Take a couple rounds of cat-cow here. Again, trying to keep your low back somewhat neutral and just working your way into your upper back. Come back to neutral spine. Stretch your left foot back behind you, toes tucked under, and then pulse back into the left heel. Make your breath really strong, really long, nice and round here. And then just like every yoga class, if you notice that you're not breathing nice and steadily or evenly, then take a break. Rest in child's pose whenever you need to. Kickstand your right foot back behind you, toes tucked under, roll onto the inner edge of your left foot, and then sweep your left arm up as you lean back slightly. Send your breath all the way down into the tips of the lungs and then all the way up in towards your throat. Spread the collarbones apart with your breath. And then if you challenge your balance on side 1, try it again here on side 2. Float the left foot up, spread the toes out wide, kick through the ball of the left foot. Keep breathing. Feel your glute medius on the left side activate. This is great for pelvis stability. And take 1 more deep breath in. And then as you exhale, spiral yourself back down. Left hand comes down, left knee comes down. Couple of cat-cows. Come to neutral tabletop. Tuck your toes under. Walk your hands back. Lift your knees up. Come into a quick malasana. So heels can be lifted or lowered down. And then I like to swivel side to side. This might feel good for you. You might just want to hold it steady. Whatever works best. Just to start to open the inner thighs and the hips. Come to center. Lift your hips up. Point your toes forward. Walk your hands onto your thighs. Take a moment here. If you're feeling dizzy, lightheaded at all, then just take a couple of breaths. Otherwise, we're going to go into some pelvic tilts here in our Utkatasana shape. So send your weight back towards your heels. So lift the weight out of your toes. And then on an inhale, stretch your chest through your arms, pull your shoulders back. And as you exhale, round your back. Inhale, come through, lift the heart up. And then exhale to round. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, round. Let's do 2 more like that. Inhale. Exhale. Last time in. And exhale. Good. Press down into your feet. Bend your knees. Come all the way up to stand. Roll your shoulders back. And then step to the top of your mat. Stand nice and tall in Tadasana. So feet at least hip distance apart. Just so long that you feel stable and steady. Press down through all 4 corners of the feet. And then lift your toes up. See if you can lift your inner arches up. So the arches have the tendency to collapse with the extra weight during pregnancy. So the more that you can just stand with your toes lifted, the better it is. Just to train these muscles to lift back up so we have our arch support. And then place your toes back down. Roll your shoulders into the back plane of your body. Open your chest up nice and tall. Everything open, expansive with breath. Take your hands to your hips. And then step your right foot way back. We're going to come into warrior 2. So hips open towards the long end of the mat. Right toes point towards the long end of the mat. And then here, our stance is a little bit shorter than it would be if we were in a normal yoga class. So just to give the pelvis a little bit more stability, make sure we're not overstretching any pelvic ligaments. So feet a little bit closer together. And then bend your left knee. Stretch your arms out wide to the side for warrior 2. Here, find your breath. This is really key. And then whenever you're ready, press down into the left foot. Inhale, straighten the left leg. Reach both arms up and overhead. Get nice and tall. And then exhale, float the hands down. Bend the left knee again. Keep going like this. We'll just take a little flow just to link the movement with the breath in a vinyasa. Get some space in the side waist as you reach the arms up. And then as you exhale, get this nice hip opening effect in the left leg. One more time. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, back out into warrior 2. Flip your palms back behind you. Bend your elbows and wiggle your arms behind your back. So here you can clasp your wrists, your forearms, or your elbows, depending on how much room you have. Maybe how long your arms are too. And then pull the shoulders actively back. Keep a bend in the left knee. And we're just going to breathe here and relax. So we need a lot of openness in the pelvis and the hips to give birth. But we also need a lot of strength, especially if we want to adopt a birthing position that isn't lying down on our backs. So something squatting or kneeling, this will require a little bit of strength. So it's good to build strength during pregnancy. Good. Take one more deep breath in. Let it go. Inhale, reach your arms out to either side, warrior 2. Kickstand your right hand on your right hip. Flip your left palm up, lean back, take a little reverse warrior, stretch your left fingers straight up to the sky. Try not to take a back bend here. So just opening the left side body. Good, and then left hand to left hip. Straighten the left leg. Point your left toes towards the long end of the mat, and then grab one block and take it underneath your shoulders. Walk both hands down to the block. So toes point pretty much forward. And normally I don't focus so much on the alignment of the feet, but during pregnancy, we tend to waddle with the feet pointing out to the side. So it's really helpful to focus on pointing the feet inward sometimes, just to kind of balance everything out. And then from here, left hand stays on the block. Reach your right arm up to the sky. Your hips can go off to the right side. Take a deep breath in. Exhale it out. You can always open the mouth and sigh out. Keep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. One more time like that. Big breath in. And then as you exhale, right hand comes down to the block and switch. Inhale, stretch your left arm up. Hips shift off to the left side. Fingers active. And then hips go back, heart goes forward, long spine. Breathe deeply. Inhale. Exhale. One more time, inhale. And then exhale, left hand comes down to the block. Bend your knees, walk your hands up onto your thighs, press down into the feet to lift yourself up to stand. Point both feet towards the top of the mat and then step forward. And we'll switch sides. Take a deep breath in, step your left foot way back. But again, shorter stance than normal warrior two. Set yourself up and then stretch your arms out to the side. Press down into the right foot. As you inhale, reach both arms up, straighten the right leg, get long in the sides of the waist. And then exhale, bend the right knee, come back into your warrior two shape. Inhale to lift. And exhale, bend. Nice and easy here. So keep going like this. And you'll notice as your pregnancy progresses, we tend to get really heavy in the joints. So see if you can counteract that just by being super light, super fluid in the joints, especially the knee joints. One more time, inhale, lift up. And exhale, bend the right knee. Flip the palms back behind you. And this time, the funky way, reach back, grab a hold of wrists, forearms, or elbows. And then again, roll your shoulders into the back plane of your body. Lengthen your tailbone down so you slide your low belly up. You feel the front side of your belly get shorter and the back side of your body get longer. And then keep the gentle bend in the right knee and breathe deeply. Just working on our endurance and stamina here. Standing nice and tall. And then again, soft in the knee joints. So lifting up and away out of the legs just as much as you're grounding down strongly into the earth. Take one more deep breath in. And then exhale, release your arms. Come back into your warrior two shape. Kickstand the left hand on the left hip. Flip your right palm up. Take a deep breath in. Reach straight up. You might not be able to lean as far back as you could before. Again, beginner's mind. Imagine this is the very first time you're doing your reverse warrior. And then it's pretty good. Stretch your right fingers straight up towards the sky, maybe back. One more in-breath. And then exhale, hands to the hips. And this time we're just going to step forward back into Tadasana. Good. Roll the shoulders back. Standing up nice and tall. Walk your feet hip distance apart if they're not there yet. And then take a deep breath in, stretch your arms up to the sky. And as you exhale, bend your knees, hips go back, heart forward, dive all the way down. You can grab a block if you have it handy. I love to use my blocks for forward folds. Press down into your hands. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen a spine. And then as you exhale, bend your elbows and fold down. We'll do that 2 more times, like a wave. Inhale, lift up, lengthen. And then exhale, fold. One more time. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, fold down. Good. Take your 2 blocks on the highest height to the top of the mat. And then step your right foot way back. Lower your right knee down onto the mat. And then if you have your blanket handy, it's really helpful to take it underneath your right knee. Just for some extra padding. Okay. We're going to go into a little runner's flow here. So hips come forward and down. Lift your chest up. Roll the shoulders back. And then on your next inhale, stretch your hips straight back behind you. Maybe lift the left toes up. Big stretch to the left hamstring. As you exhale, come forward, bend the left knee, lower the hips, lift the heart. And then inhale, take it back. Straighten the left leg, pull the toes back. Exhale to round the back, come forward, and then lift up, get tall. Inhale, pull it back. Exhale, come forward. Inhale, hips back. Good. And then last time, bend the left knee. This time we're going to come into a modified seated goddess pose. Pick up your right foot, swing it back behind you to the long edge of the mat, and then come down to sit on the left heel. If this isn't happening for you, grab one block, swing your foot forward a bit more, and sit down on your block. Like a goddess. I feel it. Take your left elbow to the inside of the left knee. And here you can take a mudra if you'd like. I really like Apana mudra for pregnancy. So this is the mudra that's downward and outward energy, just like baby coming out. And it's also like the devil horn rock on mudra, because they like to use mudras at rock shows, if you didn't know that. Okay. You can also take dhyana mudra, any mudra that feels good for you. And we'll take a couple of breaths here. You probably notice this beautiful stretch to the inner thighs. Sit up nice and tall. Pull the shoulders back. Lift your chest up and then expand with breath. One more big inhale. And then as you exhale, release the left hand down. Lift your hips up. Swing the right foot back. You can walk your block back forward and come back into a tabletop position. Okay, you can keep the blocks where they are if you'd like. We're just going to come into puppy pose. So hips over the knees. Walk your hands forward. You want to try to keep your thighs perpendicular to the ground. And then you can bring your forehead down onto the mat. If this feels like too much, like you're getting heartburn here, you can bend your elbows, release your forearms down onto the mat, and then just relax your head down. And this is more for my end of second trimester, third trimester people. Otherwise, if downward dog still feels good for you in your pregnancy, then go ahead and tuck your toes, lift your hips, and press back into your downward facing dog. But if you're in down dog, just notice how it feels on your belly. Does it feel okay with the extra arch in the lumbar spine? Does it feel okay on the belly muscles? And does it feel okay on your shoulders and wrists? If it doesn't, you can always just take puppy pose or child's pose. Good. And then from here, if you're in puppy, walk your hands back. From downward dog, lower your knees down on the mat. Bring both hands to your blocks. And then we're going to step the right foot forward. So if your belly's really rotund at this point, you can walk your right foot out to the right side and then wiggle it on in. Boop, boop, boop. Again, beginner's mind, clean slate. Okay, from here, as you take a deep breath in, straighten the right leg, pull the right toes up and back, long spine. And then as you exhale, round the back forward and then lower the hips, lift the chest and take a little baby back bend in your upper back. Inhale, straighten the right leg. And exhale, come forward, bend the right knee. Make your breath the most interesting aspect of all the movements happening here. Make it your main focus. Maybe even close your eyes. See how much you can enjoy these movements. Bring a secret smile inside your lips. Next time your right knee is bent, pick up your left foot, swing it all the way back towards the long end of the mat behind you, and then come to sit on your heel. So sorry for facing away from you, but this probably gives you a better view of what I'm doing with my legs. And then my favorite variation is to grab my block, slide the foot forward a bit more, take your block behind the foot on the lowest height, and then have a seat. Right elbow comes to the inside of the right knee. Sit up nice and tall. And then again, if you'd like to take a mudra with your right hand, go ahead and do that. Relax your left hand on the left thigh. Broaden your collarbones apart and then deepen your breath. Stay sitting up nice and tall. And then gently use the resistance of your right elbow to press the right knee back and open, just to give yourself a nice big stretch to the inner right thigh. Two more breaths here. Inhale. And exhale. You can sigh it out the mouth if you like. Release the right hand down. Lift your hips up. You can move your block off to the side. Move both blocks off to the side, actually. And then come back around with the left foot. Walk your right foot back as well and come into a tabletop position here. So again, all fours. Stack the joints, so wrists underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips, or even a tiny bit wider. And now we're going to take some hip mobility exercises. So pick up your right foot, flex it into the sky with your right knee pointing straight back behind you. So a little L shape here with the leg. And then as you inhale, lift the right foot straight up to the sky. And as you exhale, lower the right knee down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Let's do two more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. One more time. Inhale to lift. And exhale, lower down. Good. And then take some hip shimmies, hip circles here, just to release any tension that caused. And here it's really helpful for the pelvis if you strengthen the muscles that support the hips and the pelvis, which is why we're trying to activate the glutes here a little bit, just to keep some strength in that area, especially when we feel like everything is stretching out with relaxin. Switch directions in the hips with the circles. So the more open we get in the hips, of course, that's amazing. And the more open we get in the pelvis to help release baby when the birth time comes, then that's great. But we also need to strengthen and support so that we can keep walking through life in an optimal way that doesn't look like Gumby. And then come back to center here. And then we switch sides. So here, first pull your baby up and in. So give your baby a little hug. Gently pull your belly up towards your spine. Keep that. And then lift the left leg. Bend the left knee. Flex the left foot. And when you're ready, inhale, lift it up. Keep the belly pulled up and in. And exhale, lower down. So just like me, this can be a couple of inches. It can be a couple of centimeters. Doesn't really matter. Work with your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Two more. Inhale. Exhale. One more time in. And then exhale, lower down. Good. We're going to come into hip circles on the right side now. So take your right knee, lift it up again. And now we're going to make big circles with the right knee off to the side. So imagine you have a pencil or a paintbrush attached to the right knee, and you're making these big, broad strokes as wide as you can with the right knee. Switch directions. Two more breaths. And this is great for stamina in this tabletop position, which is an amazing position for birth. All right, release the right knee down. We'll come immediately into the left side. So left knee out to the side, flex the left foot, and then again, draw your big circles. So this is becoming one of the new classics as a birthing position because it opens the pelvis in the back, and it helps if baby's facing the wrong way. It helps kind of spin baby around, so it uses gravity. Switch directions with the knee. Keep breathing. Take two more breaths like this. Notice if your arms are getting tired. That's okay. Practice this position every day. And then release the left knee down. Tuck your toes under. Lift your knees as you walk your hands back. You can move your blanket off to the side of your mat. Hands to the thighs. Lift yourself up. Come halfway. And then again, we'll take some pelvic tilts here. Moving at your own rhythm with your breath. If you're congested, then it's totally fine to breathe in and out through the mouth in prenatal yoga. So in traditional yogic breath is in through the nose, out through the nose, Ujjayi breath, gentle constriction of the back of the throat. But here with pregnancy yoga, we just got to take what we can get. So if it feels okay for you or better for you to breathe in and out through the mouth, then of course that's your option. All right, press down strongly into the feet, bend your knees, and then as you inhale, come all the way up to stand, roll the shoulders back. And then take a wide stance on the mat and point your toes out slightly. Again, wide stance, but not as wide as you might have done in the past. Toes point out to the sides. Bend your knees. Without using your hands, try to gently pull your knees back behind you, so towards the pinky edges of your feet. And then slide your hands down your thighs. Take a deep breath in here. Imagine that you're sitting on a very comfortable chair. And as you breathe in, stretch your chest forward. Hips go back. Good. Now we're going to take some twists here, and we're just going to try to target the shoulders and the upper back, so not twisting the low back. Dip your left shoulder down. Roll the right shoulder up and back behind you. I'm not going to mirror you guys here, so I'm going the opposite direction. And then maybe turn and look up over the right shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. And then as you exhale, twist the other way. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, twist. So you'll notice that your hips shift a bit to the left, but really try to feel the sensation of the twist in the upper back and the rib cage. Inhale to center. And then exhale, twist. Inhale back to center. Let's do one more each side. See if you can bend your knees a little bit deeper and get more into the hips now. Inhale, lift up to center, and then exhale, twist. Beautiful. Inhale, come back to center, press down into the feet, lift yourself all the way up to stand, roll the shoulders back. Grab your two blocks here. And then take them about shoulder distance apart, maybe a little bit wider underneath you. Hands to the blocks. We're just going to do Skandasana in our own little pregnant way, which for me has changed a lot. So from here, bend the left knee. Sink the hips down. So this might mean that the left heel lifts up, maybe the right toes lift up, maybe not. And then use your muscles on your inner thighs to switch directions, to go the opposite way. So instead of using your hands into the blocks, really try to use your legs to lift up and move side to side. And then again, move with the breath. Make it the most interesting aspect of what's going on in your body. And then last time, over to the right. Inhale, come to center. Wiggle your feet towards each other, a little bit wider than hip distance apart. Bend your knees, come into Malasana. And here, if you'd like to use a block, super comfy, slide it underneath your hips. If you have hemorrhoids, maybe not so super comfy, you can also use a bolster. Just being real here. Okay, so in your Malasana position, take your elbows to your inner thighs, inner knees. Press your palms together, sit up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back. Take a moment here just to catch your breath, close your eyes. Good, and now we're gonna work to open the neck and the chest even more. So lean yourself over to the left, reach your right arm off to the right side with the palm flipped back behind you. Bend your right elbow, wrap the right arm behind your back, wiggle it back as far as you can. And then open the left knee as you lean over to the left side. You can maybe even gently take your left hand to the right side of your head and pull the head very gently down towards the left shoulder. Pull your right shoulder down away from your right ear, and then just feel this big opening from your right shoulder all the way up through the back of the right ear into the head. And then inhale to lift up. Reach the right arm out, then release and switch sides. Right elbow to the inner right thigh. Stretch the left arm out to the side. Palm flips back. And then wrap your left arm behind your back. Again, lean to the right side. Roll the left shoulder back behind you. Bring your right ear towards your right shoulder, and then maybe use the right hand to give it a little bit extra juice, but super gentle with the neck, always. Breath is nice and deep. See if you can pull your left shoulder away from your left ear. Exhale here. And then inhale to lift yourself back up. Unwind. Walk your hands forward. Lift your hips. Slide your block off to the side. And then roll down. Soft landing. Swing your legs around. And bring your feet about hip distance apart. Take your hands back behind you. Your fingertips can point back behind you or slightly off to the side if that feels better for your wrists. All right, from here, take a deep breath in. Lift your belly and your baby up toward your knees. Pull your shoulders back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together down the back as you lift your chest. Put a slight tuck in your chin so you feel like the back of your neck is long. Instead of chin jutting out like this, pull it back. Good. And then just sit up nice and tall here. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. And now press down strongly into your big toes and into your first fingers and your thumbs. Lift your hips up off the mat. Exhale here. Deep breath in. Lift the back of your heart up towards the sky. Widen your shoulders apart and then draw the shoulders down the back. Deep breath in. And then exhale to lower the hips down. Point your fingers back behind you now, like you're chilling on the beach. And then walk your feet a little bit further forward, especially if you have quite a big bump. We're going to come into a seated pigeon position. So you might need to use your hands to help you with this, depending on how big your belly is. So pick up your right foot, cross the right ankle on top of the left thigh. You can use your left hand to move it there if you'd like. And then flex the right foot. So you pull the right toes back towards the right knee. And this will kind of lock the knee in place so that we get all of this beautiful opening in the hip and not in the knee. So we don't want to ever open the knee in yoga. All right. And then from here, if you feel like you could use a bit more resistance in the hips, so you could take it a little bit deeper, you can walk your hands towards your hips and then slide your hips a bit closer to your left heel. But just make sure that you're not really compressing your belly, compressing the baby, so you have enough space. And then again, just sit up nice and tall like we did before. Roll your shoulders into the back plane of your body, broaden your collarbones, and then send your breath all the way down into the bottom lungs and all the way up into the chest and the throat. You can close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths here. Good. Open your eyes if they were closed. Walk your hands back. If you walk them forward, shift the hips back if you shifted them forward, and then uncross the right leg and switch sides. Whew. Left ankle crosses, flex the left foot. And then again, find your comfortable position that makes sense for you. It could be different between the two sides of the body. Keep your left foot actively flexed. And then notice the strong external rotation in the left hip, but hopefully no twisting sensation in the left knee. Sit up tall. And then again, maybe close your eyes and focus in on your breath. See if you can connect with your baby. And we'll start to slow the practice down. Walk your hands back. If you walk them forward, shift the hips back, uncross the left leg. Grab your blanket. And we're going to use this underneath the hips now. So go ahead and swing yourself around to face the long edge of your mat. And then bring the soles of the feet together, knees out wide to the sides. If you're feeling like this is pulling on any ligaments in the knees or the hips, grab your blocks and then slide them underneath your thighs here for some extra support. Take your hands to your ankles. Take a deep breath in, and again, we're going to cat-cow it. Inhale, lift the chest, roll your shoulders back, and then as you exhale, lean back, round the back, spread the shoulder blades apart. Keep going like this. And then again, just don't take it so far. There's no need to push any movement or to push yourself during your pregnancy. So just nice and easy. Remember, a little bit goes a long way in your new and ever-changing body. So don't worry about what you look like from the outside. Don't worry about what you used to be able to do that you can't do anymore. Back bends will come back. Deep forward folds will come back. The body will change back. One more time, come forward, lift your heart, roll the shoulders back, take a deep, refreshing breath in, and exhale. Good. Lift yourself up to neutral. Take your hands behind your knees, bring them up, slide your blocks off to the side, and then take your legs out in a wide straddle position and just really take it about 70% of your maximum. And we're going to set this up with one block and our bolster or couch cushion. So take your block out in front of you on the medium height, grab your bolster, and then slide it so that it's at an angle, kind of sloping down towards you. And then you might need to adjust the distance of your bolster from your belly so that when you come to fold forward, you're not just landing on baby on the bolster. So we'll take a minute to figure it out once we start coming down into the pose. But first, take a nice deep breath in. I like to use my hands here and really just widen and lengthen my waistline so the rib cage lifts up and away from the hips. And then whenever you're ready, start to make your way forward. If you're really pregnant like I am at this point, a deep forward fold doesn't really work for me. So I'm actually going to slide my block a little bit closer so that the bolster lifts up higher. And then release it down. If you're in first trimester, maybe even second trimester still, you can come all the way down as far as it works for you. And then give your bolster a little hug. So you can thread your arms underneath the bolster, turn your head to one side. Here, also option to bend the knees, or just don't come down very far if you don't want to, no problem. And for me here in third trimester, I'm going to use my elbows on the bolster and make myself a little chin rest with my hands. So this allows me to still stretch the back of the hamstrings and the muscles in the back, but I'm not going so deep into the pose, but I still feel this, so it's great. So choose whatever feels best for you. Again, just taking it about 70% maximum of what you think you're capable of or what you could do. Just not forcing anything here, not going too deep into the ligaments that are already pretty relaxed and the muscles that are also really relaxed. All right, and then once you find your position, go ahead and close your eyes. And start to deepen your breath. Visualize where your rib cage is in space. And then send your breath into your ribs, into your lungs deeply. So that with every inhalation, you feel the bones of the ribs individually expanding apart. The muscles that lie in between every single bone in the rib cage, just gently stretching with the breath so you know you're breathing nice and fully into the lungs. And as you breathe out, just a gentle pulling in and up of the baby back towards your spine. And our respiratory diaphragm works together in concert with the pelvic floor muscles, which is what we need to not only strengthen during pregnancy and all the extra weight of the organs and the uterus and the baby. So we need a lot of strength and support in the pelvic floor to just carry the baby around. But we also need a ton of openness in that area when it comes time to give birth. And if you didn't do anything else for your pelvic floor, simply focusing on deep breath is enough to make sure that your pelvic floor stays balanced. So if we learn how to breathe really, really well, we learn how to breathe fully into the rib cage so that it expands outwards to the sides. We learn how to breathe all the way down into the tips of the lungs. And then we learn to exhale completely. Then all the muscles of the core work together with the muscles of the pelvic floor to fully support and also relax and stretch out the pelvic floor. So we have this beautiful balance of strengthening and flexibility in the pelvic floor. So with that information, let's take a few more breaths here. The breath coming in, but not with force, not with any aggression, but just nice and full, but smooth. And then as you exhale, make sure all the breath empties out. Again, no force. One more deep breath in. And deep breath out. Open your eyes, softly lift yourself up. We're going to keep our legs as they are and then come into a little bit of a side bend. So move your block over to the inside of your left leg. You can take it to the inner left calf or the inner left knee, and then the bolster lands on top of it. Pretty similar to how we had it before. Again, take a deep breath in to sit up nice and tall. And then as you exhale, take your left elbow down to the bolster or to the pillow. Make a little stand for your head with your left hand. And then you can either stay like this, or there's a couple different options that you can take with your right arm. So right arm can reach up and overhead and just kind of lazily drape over your head like so. And this is a really nice stretch for the sides of the waistline. You can either stay like this or wrap your right arm behind your back. So choose what feels best for you. And then feet here, we'll take this like a yin pose, just like the last pose, which is why I didn't cue to activate the feet. But here, feet can just be kind of soft and floppy. Toes can point in any direction that they naturally want to go. And we're focusing more on release and relaxation now. So first part of the class, we strengthened, we lengthened, we really moved a lot. And now we're just going to soften. So we find this nice balance that we need for pregnancy between active, lots of strength, lots of energy expenditure, but then also knowing when and how to relax when the body calls for it. It's really important, especially when giving birth. Two more breaths here. Inhale completely into left and right lung. Exhale it out. One more time, inhale. And then exhale, release your right arm from whatever position it's in. Lift yourself up. Slide your bolster mountain off to the right side. And then we'll come into it again. But first, before we come into our side bend, lengthen every single bone in your spine up towards the sky. And then begin to make your way down. Right elbow lands on the bolster. Make yourself a little prop for your head. And then take the same variation with the left arm that you took on side one. If it feels comfortable for you to close your eyes, then go ahead and do that. If it doesn't feel comfortable for you to close your eyes, so if you feel really alert and awake right now, simply pick one spot on the floor to focus on in front of you and then soften your gaze around that spot. So eyes are like half closed. And then again, focus in on the breath. Nice and fluid and steady. Everything gentle. Both feet relaxed, both hands relaxed. Both arms as relaxed as possible while maintaining this position. And just feel like your entire abdomen is floating up like a balloon every time you breathe in, just getting super light. And every time you breathe out, just getting a little bit more grounded down into the sit bones. Take 2 more breaths here at your own rhythm. And then on your next inhale, lift yourself up. You can keep your bolster in front of you, move your block off to the side, and then we'll come into Shavasana. So if you still feel comfortable lying on your back for Shavasana, then you can go ahead. You can slide the bolster underneath your knees and lie down on your back. Otherwise, we'll come into a side lying position. So first, hands behind the knees, lift the knees straight up, bring the feet together. And then if you're coming into the side lying, we'll come onto our left side. You can use your blanket either underneath the hips for some extra padding, or you can use it as a pillow if you'd like. I like to flip it around so that the round edge of the blanket lands just around the curve of the neck. This gives me the most support. And then very carefully making our way down. But first, let's slide the bolster in between the legs and make sure that it's all the way in between the knee joint and the ankle joint so that both joints of the legs are fully supported. And then very gracefully make your way down. Left arm can come forward and then relax either on the left arm or on your blanket or a little pillow. Right arm can just be wherever. If you have a stuffed animal or a pet or your partner, it's also nice to just give them a hug. But otherwise, you can take your hand to your belly, give your baby a little rub, a little hug. Take a deep breath in through your nose and then open your mouth and sigh it out. And then do that again. Deep breath in through the nose. Open your mouth and let it go. One more time like that. Inhale deeply. And this time as you exhale, just notice all tension releasing from every single cell in your body as you get heavy and soften down towards the earth. And we'll stay here for about a minute, just to let the nervous system reset after the practice, to let the body absorb all the benefits of the practice. And I'll bring you out of the pose. So keep your eyes closed. Even if there's no sound for a few seconds at a time, don't worry. I'll come back and bring you back. So stay here for about 30 to 45 more seconds, just relaxed. And now, again, start to deepen your breath. And again, if you'd like, sigh it out the mouth, releasing tension. If you have some more time, I highly encourage you to take Shavasana a few times a day. You're probably resting anyway, but it's just good to not have anything around. So no Netflix, no phones, no computers, no distractions, but just be completely at ease with your breath, with your body totally relaxed. So if you have a few minutes, stay like this. Otherwise, if you're in side lying pose, press down into your right hand to lift up. If you're on your back, roll to one side and then lift yourself up. Come into a comfortable seat. Bring your hands to your baby, eyes closed or gaze pointing down. And take a couple of breaths, once again expanding the rib cage, but then also breathing down into the belly. Thank you very much for practicing along with me today. I hope you feel energized and calm at the same time. And I wish you a lovely pregnancy. Namaste.